tonight.
There have already been 200 people injured so far, and it's only about 1 o'clock.
You have snipers around here?
Yeah, we have snipers on a number of rooftops overlooking the American embassy.
Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the entire world, and he can think of nothing better to do with that money than send rockets into space.
A family of suicide bombers that included an 8-year-old girl attacked a police station in Surabaya, Indonesia. Not far from where another family killed 12 civilians in suicide attacks on 3 Christian churches on Sunday. Iran's foreign minister met with his counterpart in Moscow to discuss what remains of the 6-party nuclear deal and his country's economy after talks in Beijing yesterday. Tomorrow, Mohammad Javad Zarif will continue the last-ditch diplomacy tour in Brussels when he meets with the foreign ministers of Germany, France, and the UK. The Supreme Court struck down a 1992 federal law prohibiting sports betting after the state of New Jersey argued the law amounted to unconstitutional federal intrusion.
I think you saw so many governors join as amici on this because they understand today it's sports gaming, tomorrow it'll be something else.
The ruling could help states prop up their own laws in other areas, like marijuana legalization in sanctuary cities. The World Health Organization wants a global ban on artificial trans fats in the next 5 years. Every year, the cheap fats are estimated to cause 540,000 deaths from heart disease. The US and other countries have already banned trans fats from the food supply, but parts of Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia still rely on them. Shia Boyu lost both his feet to frostbite while trying to climb Everest in 1975. More than 4 decades later, the 69-year-old finally reached the summit.
It was billed as a day of reckoning in the Gaza Strip. Hamas called for thousands to amass along the border with Israel to denounce the US embassy's move to Jerusalem and demand an end to the blockade on Gaza. Tens of thousands of Gazans answered that call today, and the Israelis responded with overwhelming force. While tear gas rained down and border guards fired live ammunition and artillery at the crowds, casualty after casualty was stretchered out.
So there's another protester shot. They're using live ammunition right now. We're hearing there's already been about 200 people injured so far today, and it's only about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
As the day wore on, the number of people injured and killed kept rising. Yet protesters continued to surge forward. Teams of young men carrying tires to the front to burn and obscure the view of Israeli snipers so others could cut the fence.
Why do people stay when they're firing all the gas and everything?
This was the largest loss of life since these protests began. But they've been going on for months now. Funerals like this take place nearly every week. Jabba al-Mustafa was shot in the chest on Friday as he approached the border fence. He was a 39-year-old father of 4. In death, he's being treated as a hero. For many here, a decade-long Israeli blockade has made life so hellish that they're readily willing to risk their lives.
وسنبقى بإذن الله نقاتل ونصارع.
29-year-old Tamer Abu Dakr and his family are a case in point. He was shot at a protest in December. The incident captured by Israeli soldiers in a video that went viral.
تقول كاينين بيستنوا فيا لهم 20 سنة.
واي السرطان. يس.
الشباب في غزة وضعهم ثاب لله وعشان هيك الشباب بتشرق من القرف اللي هم فيه.
Tamer thinks he'll end up losing his leg. Yet just last week, his brother went out to a protest and suffered the very same injury. For Hamas, the large turnout for these protests is a victory in itself. Israel and the Trump administration have already cut the militant group out of talks on a peace plan, a deal that will reportedly offer up 4 Jerusalem neighborhoods to the Palestinian Authority. That means there's nothing to lose if the violence escalates.
What are you hoping to achieve with this kind of a protest? What's the purpose of it?
We are sending message for everybody. West Jerusalem is our land. We are not respecting this border. Our land, historic is our land.
The protests have become a way of life, and there's a routine to get ready for whatever they bring. Practicing new techniques to outwit the heavily armed border force. These guys are making kites that can catch the wind to carry Molotov cocktails over the militarized line. But the more than 50 deaths today could be a reality check. The body count in the morgue at Gaza City's main hospital was higher than it's been since the last war with Israel.
That's my duty. I can't stay at home and watch what's going on.
Volunteer Mohammed Riza works for free during what he says is his time off. The joke is that he's been unemployed for more than 8 months now.
The Palestinians, they have nothing to lose. We took our land, we took everything. We live in the hell in Gaza.
So that's why they go so close. They don't...
These young people, they don't have problem if they got injured, even if he got die.
Why?
They have nothing to lose. There is no life in Gaza at all.
The violence in Gaza today didn't stop the big show in Jerusalem from going ahead. Visiting dignitaries and Israeli VIPs gathered for the official dedication of what is now the U.S. Embassy. President Trump sent a video message.
The United States will always be a great friend of Israel and a partner in the cause of freedom and peace.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returned the compliments.
God bless the United States of America, and God bless Jerusalem, the eternal, undivided capital of Israel.
At a press conference earlier in the day, visiting U.S. senators applauded Trump for keeping a promise that Congress made in 1995. Vice founder Shane Smith covered the event.
If this has been on the books for 20 years, why do it today?
Well, I think President Trump did it because he promised to do it, and he said, what's the big deal? He was literally surprised that people would be taking this as a big deal. Everybody before him, including Obama, says, Jerusalem's the capital of Israel. He has a new way about him. He's not stuck into the swamp, I guess, for lack of a better word. He just did it because it made sense.
Asked about the embassy move leading to violence, Graham said that's just the cost of doing business.
If you're waiting to do something bold in the Mideast without conflict, you'll die waiting.
Specifically,
you have snipers around here?
Yeah, we have snipers on a number of rooftops overlooking the American embassy. That's being coordinated with the American security services.
So we have Secret Service in there, we've got cops, people are cordoned off, security, but we have protesters here and protesters there. So those are pro-embassy protesters and those are anti-embassy protesters.
That's correct. Let's go and see what's going on. So where we are right now is where the pro-demonstration for the American embassy opening. We're bonded together the way it should be in the Middle East, democratic countries, two democracies together. And we're protecting those that are celebrating here at the moment.
I am here to say thank you to Donald Trump. Okay. The world has been fabricating history for so long about Jerusalem, a 3,000-year-old Jewish city, capital city of Israel, trying to give it to someone else who never had any hold on it. I want to say thank you to Donald Trump for simply telling the truth.
fighting against the provocation and the adaptation of the American president to the occupation narrative. Jerusalem East is occupied. It should be the capital of Palestine.
What will be the effect of this embassy opening in the region?
We are seeing the massacre in Gaza, and Mr. Trump is losing his rule as a broker. He has never been, but it's a provocation.
The embassy's locked down pretty tightly, but in Gaza right now, there's people getting shot. They knocked down the fence. Does that have to do with the embassy opening?
No, there's no connection whatsoever. Hamas is sending innocent civilians to a border, and unfortunately, a number of people have been killed until now. In Jerusalem, the level of security is of its highest.
Right.
But there's no major clashes, and there's
So
no
you don't see
major...
anything like that happening here?
Absolutely not.
Iraqis went to the polls on Saturday, for the first time since driving ISIS out of the country. Incumbent Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi was hoping to use that victory to secure another term. It didn't go that way. Instead, voters turned to a coalition headed up by an old adversary of the United States, the populist Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr.
Muqtada al-Sadr was the man who took on US troops. He made his name after the 2003 invasion of Iraq, when public order collapsed and anti-US sentiment was high. This led to the formation of the Mahdi Army, a Shia militia group loyal to al-Sadr, which spearheaded the first revolt against American troops. At the time, Washington declared him an outlaw and a threat to Iraqi security. Al-Sadr is a nationalist and one of the few Shia clerics who opposes political interference from both Iran and America. His al-Sadr movement capitalized on public frustration with government corruption.
This is the first time secular parties join efforts with the religious parties in order to save the country. This is a historical moment for most of the political activists participating in this election who come from different backgrounds and who do believe that a nationalistic program like this one adopted by Sairun will be the only program to save Iraq. No matter what government is going to be in Iraq, it will not be a religious government and it will not be a Shia government. It will be an Iraqi government.
Al-Sadr enjoys support from young and poor voters, disillusioned with the lack of improvements in education, healthcare, and the standard of living since the removal of Saddam 15 years ago. A possible Sadr-led government could speed up the withdrawal of US forces and provoke a confrontation with Shia militia groups funded and backed by Iran. As for who the next prime minister will be, we don't know that yet either. But what we do know is that it won't be al-Sadr himself because he didn't run for election. But that might not matter. For the coming stretch, Muqtada al-Sadr will have enormous influence over the country's politics.
The Seattle City Council says it needs to raise millions of dollars to fight rampant homelessness and provide more affordable housing. And to help cover the city's most vulnerable, the council has been pushing for something no American city has tried: forcing companies that gross more than $20 million a year to pay a new tax of $500 per employee. Tonight, the city council settled on a compromise amount to get the policy approved. That could affect nearly 600 companies. But its main target is a company that a lot of people blame for driving inequality in the city in the first place: Amazon.
Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, is now the richest man in the entire world. He has a personal net worth of over $100 billion, and he can think of nothing better to do with that money than send rockets into space, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for science, I'm all for space exploration, but when there are people dying on the streets of our city, when there are children who are homeless in our schools, I can think of a lot better uses to put that money to.
Hey everyone, can you show me right now how hard you're going to work to replace the city councilors who vote against the head tax in next year's election?
Anger at Amazon was the common thread at Friday's council meeting. But not everyone feels that way. The city's building unions oppose the tax because it threatens jobs. Amazon has invested billions in the city, and it stopped construction on a new downtown office building to protest the council's initiative.
To just single out somebody because they're successful and demonize them is not the way to prosperity. You can't survive that way. What I hear being said is, listen, everybody, I'm entitled to something because I live in Seattle, and all you other people that are at work today that have jobs that are paying taxes, you should give me some of that.
Cities all over the U.S. are offering Amazon massive incentives for the opportunity to host the company's second headquarters. But Seattle has soured on being Amazon Central, and the city is starting to exert its leverage.
It is illustrative of the very important differences that between this attempt at a compromise.
I also will be supporting this amendment today because I want people to be housed. This is a public health crisis that we have in our streets right now in Seattle. We are in triage mode, and we must address this as the crisis that it is.
People are angry about affordability in Seattle. They're angry about our inability right now to solve homelessness. But on the other hand, people recognize that we are a city of innovation, of great companies and great businesses, and that we value jobs and we value people coming here. That is the debate.
On Friday, the council rejected a plan that would have lowered the new per-head tax to $250, voting instead to keep it at $500.
Okay, so it passes 5-4.
No abstention. The fight is not over yet. We still have full council to go through, and Mayor Durkin has promised to veto the bill.
This afternoon, the council struck a compromise, knocking the proposed annual tax down to $275. Now it'll be up to Amazon to decide whether it will start construction again. But Seattle's business community sees the whole episode as a troubling prologue.
It used to be that you'd say, well, the business environment here is a little unpredictable. But we've gone from being unpredictable to predictable hostility toward employers in this town. The city council spent more money in each of the last 5 years, and in Seattle we have more people outside than we've ever had before. So if spending more money were the only prescription, we would have solved this long ago.
Since you guys are staying here, just kind of, the rules and stuff. And, what we're filling out right now is the SF-180, and we're going to request your military records.
For the past 3.5 years, Hector Barajas has been the director of the Deported Veterans Support House, just over the border in Tijuana. He calls it the bunker.
Will you show me around here a little bit?
Sure. So this is the office. This is where I work out of over here.
Barajas was born in Mexico, but he grew up in Compton, California. He served 6 years as a paratrooper in the Army. After his honorable discharge in 2001, he was convicted of shooting a gun at a car full of people. No one was hurt, but he spent 13 months in jail, lost his green card, and was deported. Like many veterans, Barajas didn't fill out the necessary forms after leaving the Army because he thought his service automatically guaranteed him citizenship. He started the bunker to help other vets do what he'd had no one to help him with, fill out paperwork, to get benefits and file appeals.
We're going to request your medals and your awards.
Earlier this year, Barajas overcame a major hurdle in his own appeal. He was finally being granted citizenship and was going home.
You must be so excited to be leaving.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah, exciting moment for a lot of people, for a lot of, millions of people have been deported. Just the fact that somebody goes home that had a criminal record as a citizen is huge.
The problem of veterans getting deported isn't one you hear much about. That's in part because nobody knows how big of a problem it really is.
Since September, these are all the men that we've identified. So we have a database of almost 400 people, guys all the way from the UK to the Philippines, Costa Rica, Jamaica.
But you're saying there's actually not an official roster?
The government doesn't track. They don't ask you whether you're a veteran when you're going through their process of deportation. So potentially, we think it's thousands. What's up? Long time no see.
Barajas is going home because after 14 years of work by a coalition of veterans and immigrant rights groups and the ACLU, he got a pardon last year from California Governor Jerry Brown. That cleared the way for him to apply for citizenship.
We believe that if you screw up, you should pay your dues and go to prison or jail.
But to be deported is just too much.
I mean, you don't shy from what you did, obviously.
No, and I'm very open about it. Yes, I was involved in a crime over 16 years ago. That doesn't make me a criminal for the rest of my life. It doesn't change whether I'm an American or willing to die for my country.
Now he faces the challenge of what to do with the program he's created and the other deported vets he's leaving behind.
This is Felix.
Hi, Felix. How are you? I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
And he's one of two guys that are staying here at the bunker.
Is it still gonna work without him around?
It's gonna be hard. I'll probably cry tomorrow.
I'm gonna have a big speech for you guys tomorrow.
He's emotional already. No, he's emotional already. It's
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
You know, he helped me a lot. You know, he like even paid for a psychologist for me and counselors and stuff. So.
You're happy for him too.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm happy. I wish I could go too. You know, but.
That's your speech. Got my speech for later on.
Barajas is the first known deported veteran convicted of a felony to receive citizenship.
All right, why don't we guys stretch it out a little bit? If we can. Again, thank you guys for being here, all the brothers that are still here. You know, we have the motto of leaving no man behind, and I told you guys that, you know, I wish I could take you guys with me, but without you guys volunteering and doing your part, you know, only so much can be done, and we need to push our Congress and other people to support us, and so you guys got to get involved too, you know. Go for broke, Team America.
Back in his family's home, Barajas is readjusting to life in the U.S. He plans to spend much of the next year in Tijuana, helping the bunker run without him. Eventually, he wants to settle down and find work in Compton.
You coming to your school tomorrow?
She doesn't want to watch. She's never watched his school in her life.
You haven't watched school?
Oh, in elementary, yeah. But...
How far is your school? Mile?
Oh, Maya.
What's it been like since you've come back?
Kind of hang out with my daughter. All right, see you guys later. We really haven't had it. I mean, she's very caring. She loves me very much, but it's like, it's not the same. That's difficult because I'm trying to balance everything, like meeting these people's needs, and then I got to take care of my stuff, and then I got people calling me back at the bunker, hey, we need this, we need that, so it's pretty hectic. At the end of the day, I'm the one that paid for it, went to prison for it, got deported, screwed up my whole life, relationships, but some good came out of it, you know, so that's what I try to focus on today.
Fucking awesome. That song made me realize what a huge dick I am.
Stank attitude, bad allergies might embarrass you. Make your granny see me at your barbecue. Papa plan B, stop the family, a father not cute.
That was fucking awesome. I love kind of those conversational pieces where it sounds like somebody's talking to you like you're their friend. And she's talking about taking an abortion pill. Like, who hasn't taken an abortion pill and showed up at somebody's granny's barbecue? Thank you. There were some guitars in the background that they actually managed to get the sound of the pick, chunk, 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 which is such a hard thing to do. It sounds like one of those songs you would get into and then just let the record keep playing, and then that's the record that becomes your summer record. It sounds like somebody who normally sings in a much higher voice, using a really low voice, like a low Britney Spears voice. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I love Britney Spears. Is there an end without warning? All I know, love, I have a lot of really high-end hearing, so things with lots of auto-tune generally make me kind of, okay, I want to wipe it off my face. It's a really lovely love song, which I never understand, so I felt kind of out of my depth there. Some really super popular R&B record that everybody loves that I don't know anything about. I don't know shit about shit. I wish I knew stuff. I do, sometimes. Not today, Vice. Not today.